Like Clamptown, how long would that take to record?
Well, the Clash would always, from the beginning to the end, always record it all together, 1, 2, 3, 4, bang. And then Mick might put in a couple of guitars on top, and then I'd do the vocals again, and we'd do some backing vocals, and that would really be it. You know, because we had a quite simple lineup. There wasn't. I'm glad that we had our time before all this electronic perfection has come in, because being in the studio nowadays, I mean, I refuse to work like that. You know, I still work in the old way of getting a group that can play and playing music and enjoying it. But today, you know, you've got to listen to the same, all these electronic funk records, they listen to the same tune like 800 times in a sitting. And to me, that's just, how can you put your heart and soul in something when you just want to run screaming in the opposite direction, you know, going In London Calling, we'd cut adrift from everyone by then. We'd fallen out with Bernie, and we were left alone by the company, and we spent 5 months in Pimlico, in a rehearsal room down in Pimlico, really learning to. We were pleased to be able to play like the some Mose Allison jazz. You know, there's a bit of rockers, there's a bit of all kinds of things, and we always played to the top of our ability. We never deliberately played badly, which I've been accused of in places. But London Calling was really the result of a lot of concentrated hard work.
And Guy Stevens, I mean, to what extent was he actually involved? Well, really, there are many stories about this.
Yeah, Guy Stevens, a legendary producer, Wider Shade of Pale, Free,
Mott
the Hoople. We brought him in to inject, because we felt like, still at this stage the studio seemed a bit frightening, so we brought him in to inject a degree of lunacy. I feel like he was brought in as an emotional director rather than a technical sound producer, and we had some wild times. His idea of vibing you up would be to whirl a metal chair round and around his head while you're plugged in and the tape's rolling and the band's trying to play, and like I remember thinking, like, never mind the chords, I'm going to get my head out of the way when it comes round. And I've seen him and Bill Price, who was the engineer on that project, physically struggling on the floor after fighting over touching a fader on the board. You know, and we're supposed to be the wild rock and roll, you know, punk rockers, and we're all sitting around bemused at these two grown men fighting to the death on the floor of the control room. Look out! Low flying ducks! Get down! I remember meeting a skinhead in Berlin who was in tears because his grandmother liked some of London Calling, and this for him was the nail in the coffin, you know.
But by this time also you were no longer being managed by Bernie Rhodes, who'd been gone anyway in a kind of flurry of acrimony. And you had two men. You had Caroline Koo managing you
for a while,
and then Peter Jenner and Andrew King, and then just Cosmo was doing it for a bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, although I think not very long. It wasn't very long before Bernie returned after Jenner and King and Black Hill. But although I was really instrumental in getting Bernie back, I do seem to have good memories of that time when we were alone and defenceless. You know, we really pulled together good. I have good memories of that rehearsal period at the London Calling time.
But wasn't that when you were making Sandinista? Didn't you make Sandinista before Bernie came back?
Yes, we did. It came out, before Bernie. You're right, we recorded that in Electric Ladyland in New York in about 3 weeks.
Which was, I mean, of course, another set of problems, Sandinista, wasn't it? It was a triple album set.
Yeah.
CBS wouldn't give you any.
The deal was.
What was it? Yeah.
We wanted it released for a low price because we felt that records were generally overpriced, and London Calling was 2 for the price of 1, and then we wanted Sandinista 3, and then Bruce Springsteen came out with, I think he'd gone to the company and said, look, if these Limeys can have a double album, then I'm going to do one, and he came out with The River, and then we came out with Sandinista, which was 3 for almost the price of 1. But the deal we had to make in order to get that was that we'd forego our own record royalties. So we didn't actually get any royalties of that. And although it didn't sell very well, it didn't really matter to us because we weren't getting any of it anyway. So, although I still feel, in hindsight, it would have been better to have pulled it down to a double or a single even.
Well, maybe that sixth side is a bit indulgent, I have to say.
The sixth side, yeah. Only bold men go there.
But I mean, but essentially you threatened, from what I understood, you threatened to leave the group unless Bernie came back, didn't you?
Yeah, it's because I felt that, you see, Mick is very idealistic, okay? And I understood that it was good that we had ideals, but we also had to function in the real world. Like we could say, we don't want to play anywhere where there's seats, because, you know, we were A, fed up with paying for broken seats, and B, I consider them a health hazard. You know, people want to jump up and down. What's the point of playing music that says, go, go, rock, bop, you know, when there's other people going, sit down, it's like ridiculous waste of energy. So we always tried to play places, for example, where there's no seats, but there's only so many places like that, and you have to kind of compromise really to get around or to function at all. And I got worried at that point, once we'd somehow got rid of or fallen out with Black Hill, that Mick would lead us into disaster through his complete idealism and refusal to compromise in order to operate in the real world. Into city. Packed with football hooligans with first class tickets. So, you know, and I really, you know, I still think Bernie's a creative individual, and I was missing his input. So, and he himself wasn't doing anything at the time. He'd worked with the Specials and Kevin, the Dexy Midnight Runners, and I think the Joe Boxers. So I met him and talked to him. I met him by chance in a Wimpy bar somewhere, and we agreed to work together, and I managed to get the group to agree, and we carried on like that. And really, then we found our greatest success in sort of commercial terms in the years following that.